Welcome to GTV Breakfast News. Hello there, I am multi-decider Sadeko, streaming live on our social media handles at GTV Ghana, on Facebook, YouTube and on Twitter. You can watch us there on DSTV around the world. We're on channel 278. Let's start off with an emergency preparedness plan for the Akosombo and Kpong hydropower dam, as the Volta River Authority, VRA and NADMO are dubbing the operation exercise Dawohoso. It is a simulation exercise in anticipation of a possible overflow of water via recess. Although it is unlikely for any disaster to occur, the over 300,000 persons living in the exercise catchment areas must be adequately prepared in an unlikely event.
Climate change and its impacts are evident globally, especially from the increasing occurrence of national disasters. According to the 2022 World Bank's Ghana Climate and Development Report, flooding affects about 45,000 people annually. The United Nations SDG 13 recognizes climate change as a real and undeniable threat to our civilization. One expected effect is the increased frequency and magnitude of floods, which the Akosombo and Kpong dams are physically exposed to. For this reason, the Volta River Authority, in collaboration with NADMO, the North Dakota National Guard team from the U.S., and other stakeholders in disaster and management response, are embarking on a simulation exercise dubbed Exercise Dawohoso 2023 on the spillage of the Akosombo Dam and its possible impacts on the towns downstream and their possible response and reactions on safety measures.
As a nation, we can never be adequately prepared for disaster, but we can be aware of the importance of prevention through early warning systems such as simulation exercise and by building an efficient system to respond to them. I am looking forward to seeing this exercise code named Exercise Dawohoso on May 11, 2023. This exercise intends to simulate excessive water spillage, which consequently causes widespread damage to life and property and severe impact on livelihoods, particularly of the communities downstream of the dam. I will encourage all our stakeholders to actively engage in this full-scale historical simulation exercise to test the country's plans and response system.
The simulation exercises will be conducted in 3 potentially affected districts in the Eastern, Greater Accra and Volta regions on May 11, 2023.
This simulation, as I said, enhances and adds to the measures VRA has implemented over the years. It will ensure the readiness of all parties to respond appropriately to an emergency. We fully understand our responsibility to ensure that the Akosombo and Kpong dams are safe. Even though the events we are preparing for have a very low likelihood, we must still be ready. That's the name of the exercise that we will also.
Other key partners in this simulation exercise include the Ghana National Fire Service, National Ambulance Service, Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana Police, among others.
Now, still in the capital, over the next 2 days, all food safety and quality professionals in Africa will sit at a table in Accra. The idea behind the Africa Food Safety and Quality meeting is to meet with external experts on the continent to discuss challenges, exchange knowledge, align visions, and standardize technical support while enforcing operational interventions. The forum will also look at how best the World Food Programme can ensure that food provided to vulnerable beneficiaries is safe and wholesome.
Conflict in various countries in the Sahel and West Africa has led to massive displacement of populations, with over 20 million people facing acute hunger and malnutrition and are dependent on the World Food Programme WFP. The WFP is working to address the challenges by supporting the production, processing and distribution of food including grains, cereals, fortified vegetable oils and specialized nutritious foods. The Deputy Chief Executive of the Food and Drugs Authority in charge of the Food Division, Mr. Roderick Dade-Ejay, noted that the WFP has supported Ghana with 2 industrial food processors to set up new food processing facilities and develop global food safety and quality management systems.
The Food and Drugs Authority has been able to come up with what we call the food safety policy. It's a document we've been working on for the past 12 years, and we were able to launch it last year, where we now know the various institutions and then what they handle. There used to be turf wars and bickering here and there, but now it's all streamlined and it's making us work better.
The World Food Programme Country Director for Ghana, Ms. Barbara Clements, said the agency is determined to protect the health of beneficiaries, satisfy beneficiaries' expectations, and reduce food loss and wastage.
We want to make sure that in Ghana that we have captured lessons learned. We continue to stay on the development agenda so that it makes Ghana less vulnerable.
At the end of the meeting, partners in the food value chain will address some of the contentious topics for food safety and quality in Africa, such as aflatoxin control and management strategy. For GBC News, Yaira Lawe reporting.
Away from food safety issues, there have been reports of numbers linked to other people's Ghana cards after the National Communications Authority, NCA, in partnership with the telcos, created a check system. In an interview with GBC News, spokesperson for the Network of Communication Reporters, Mr. Samuel Duonu, says an audit of the SIM card register will ensure a clean, secure, verifiable and robust system.
I have led a campaign where people have found SIM cards linked to their card. But then subsequent to the short code, more people now want to check. And people found 18 cards, some 15, some 17. And you know that, we all know that the law says the maximum number of cards that can be linked to one card is 10. So even to find that up to 18 cards have been linked to one card, even raises more questions. Okay, and if you permit me, I think the NCA has come out to say that one of the reasons why so many cards were linked to people's Ghana cards is that they, at some point, allowed the telcos to use the former method or process of activating cards, registering SIM cards. And so those agents that were allowed, because they didn't have smartphones to then do the new process, they started abusing the system and then started linking people's all kinds of cards. And so that's why we find more than even 10 linked to people's cards here and there. Yeah. They are linking cards to people's cards. And what is going to happen is when the NCA finally deletes the 11 million numbers on the 31st of this month, there are most of those numbers that have been linked to people's cards without their consent, all of them are going to be deleted. We have recommended that, look, when the SIM is being linked to your Ghana card, you should be given a verification, and a real-time verification, so that you, the owner of the Ghana card, will also be alerted. Because again, I mean, even the telco staff, we don't even know whether any of the telco staff will try to circumvent the system. But the way to stop that is that when somebody is trying to link a SIM card to my Ghana card, like some of the owner of my Ghana card, I should get an alert, immediate alert, for me to then approve or disapprove. Because if we don't do that, and we wait for the system to be breached before we now go and do an audit to clean it, we will be wasting money and we'll be wasting everybody's time. If you find, let's say, an MTN number linked to your card without you being the owner, go to MTN and they will link it for you. And don't go to an MTN agent. Go to MTN customer service office itself. If you find a Vodafone number, go to a Vodafone customer service. If you find Airtel to go number, go to an Airtel to go customer service. And then they will do the delinking for you. Another thing that we are recommending, which the NC has said, is that all the SIM registers of the telcos must be audited. Because as we are speaking now, there are still SIMs in there that are still fraudulent. So they must be audited well to make sure that we clean that before we transfer all those numbers, all those data to the central database.
And Mr. Samuel Duonu, who is the spokesperson for the Network of Communication Reporters, will be on the show a bit later on the headlines to give more insight into the matter with the SIM cards. Let's go to the courts now, where former NDC National Chairman Mr. Samuel Fusuampofo is appealing the Accra High Court's order, asking him to open his defense to charges of conspiracy to cause harm. Mr. Fusuampofo and a former Deputy Communications Officer of the party, Mr. Anthony Boahen, are before the High Court in Accra following a leaked audio in which they are alleged to have plotted to harm the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the National Peace Council.
Charged in 2019, counsel for the former NDC national chairman, Mr. Tony Letha, told the court that his client has also filed a stay of proceedings at the Court of Appeal to halt the trial at the High Court pending the outcome of the appeal against the order to open his defense. Both the prosecution and the court are yet to be served with the processes. The two accused former party executives filed a submission of no case on November 24, 2022, after the prosecution closed its case, having called 3 witnesses. They contended that the prosecution witnesses were unable to prove the charges against them, so the court should acquit and discharge them. However, the presiding judge, Justice Samuel Esiedu, held that the prosecution was able to establish a prima facie case against them. He said there is evidence on record in respect of the charges against them, which the court is satisfied. In view of that, the court concluded that it is prudent and proper that the accused persons open their defense. Mr. Fusuampofo has also been charged with assault for allegedly inciting NDC communicators against the chairpersons of the EC and the National Peace Council. The case has been adjourned to June 1, 2023.
Let's do agriculture. The first half of cocoa production in the 2022-2023 crop season has Ghana surpassing Ivory Coast. Now, according to the latest cocoa market reports by the International Cocoa Organization, ICCO, as of 31st March 2023, cumulative arrivals of cocoa beans in Ivory Coast were lagging behind previous season levels. Cocoa production figures between Ghana and Ivory Coast also dropped by 0.2%.
The Cocoa Market Report by the International Cocoa Organization, ICCO, also indicates that the volume of graded and sealed cocoa beans purchased in Ghana since the start of the 2022-2023 season was reported at 566,846 tons, representing an 18% increase from the previous year. Despite the increase in Ghana's cocoa production, total supply of cocoa beans from the world's top 2 cocoa producers for the first half of 2022 and 2023 is estimated at 2,345,846 tons, slightly down by 0.2% compared to the previous season. The ICCO report states that the year-on-year reduction of 89,000 tons in Ivory Coast cumulative port arrivals of cocoa beans over the first half of the 2022-2023 cocoa year, combined with the increase of 85,360 tons over the same period in Ghanaian purchases of graded and sealed cocoa beans, results in a slightly negative net effect. The report also noted that the current state of play is subject to change as the mid-crop season progresses. However, the current situation shows that Ghana has overtaken Ivory Coast in cocoa production, a significant development in the global cocoa market. Ghana's cocoa production has been boosted by several initiatives in recent years, including the introduction of modern farming techniques, better access to credit and markets, and increased investments in infrastructure. One such initiative is the Ghana Cocoa Board's Cocoa Health and Extension Division, which provides farmers with free seedlings, subsidized fertilizers and pesticides, as well as training on how to properly plant and care for their cocoa trees. This has led to the higher yields and better quality cocoa beans, which can command a higher price on the international market.
Now, the governing board meeting of AfroSci has for the second time in a row adjudged Ghana Audit Service the best in audit performance 2022 in Africa. The project that won the audit service the accolade was the report it's conducted about the management of fleet of vehicles at the National Ambulance Service. This came up at an auditors' conference of the Strategic Review and 19th governing board meeting of the AfroSci members in Accra, which runs from 8th to 11th May 2023.
2023 Strategic Review and 19th Governing Board meeting of the African Organization of English-Speaking Supreme Audit Institutions, AfroSci, was hosted by the Ghana Audit Service. The meeting brought together more than 100 delegates from Supreme Audit Institutions, SIs across Africa, including strategic development partners from across the globe, to discuss roles of SIs in promoting sound financial management. The event accorded Auditors General and their staff to network with colleagues, explore opportunities and enhance their work, impact and brainstorm on the strategies and mechanisms that would ensure and strengthen the accountability of public funds. At this year's conference, the board chair, Ghana Audit Service, Professor Edward Dia-Ajimai, said the formation of AfroSci was as a result of hard work, consistency and teamwork. The Minister for National Security, Mr. Kan Dapar, said an audit institution that is sufficiently funded is able to operate independently and remain resilient as a public institution.
Rather than overlook Parliament in the exercise of disallowance and surcharge, reforms aimed at expediting actions by the leadership of Parliament on the reports submitted by the Public Accounts Committee should be aggressively pursued. Such reforms, when successful, I believe, will eliminate the lags between the time that the Auditor General submits its report to Parliament and the time that it takes for Parliament to respond.
Mr. Johnson Ekwuamwa Asiedu encouraged his fellow AGs to work hard to live up to expectation. The acting chairperson of AfroSci and Auditor General of Kenya, Madam Nancy Gathungu, said auditors have the vital role of protecting the public purse.
As guardians of public trust, we have a vital role in protecting the public interest and promoting the efficient and effective use of public resources. In the past few years, we have seen the audit expectation gap grow as stakeholders increasingly look to supreme audit institutions to play their oversight role effectively and to address emerging issues such as disaster and crisis situations, the Sustainable Development Goals, illicit financial flows, the devastating effects of climate change, and other emerging issues.
As part of the conference for the second time in a row, Ghana Audit Service won the best in audit performance in 2022 among 6 countries with 11 reports. An audit report on fleet management of the Ghana National Ambulance Service did the trick for Ghana Audit Service.
Let's take you to the international front in Nigeria, where a tribunal has begun hearing a petition by several opposition candidates in Nigeria to annul Bola Tinubu's victory in February's presidential election. Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar are challenging Mr. Tinubu's victory on several grounds, including the fact that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, failed to upload the results onto its website portal in real time. They allege that this was in breach of the Electoral Act and INEC's promise to ensure transparency. INEC is defending the case, saying the final results reflected the will of the electorate and delays in uploading the results were caused by technical glitches and a spike in traffic. Mr. Obi, who contested the presidency for the first time and had been popular among young voters in the South, was in the court for the start of the case. At least 3 other opposition figures have thrown their weight behind the bid to overturn the results. A verdict is not expected before Mr. Tinubu's inauguration on 29th May. He was officially declared the winner with 37% of the vote, with Mr. Abubakar polling 29% and Mr. Obi 25%. Mr. Tinubu, a member of the ruling party, will succeed President Muhammadu Buhari, who is stepping down at the end of his 2 terms. And a 3-year-old boy and his parents, 2 elementary school children, and a young engineer from India have been named as victims of a shooting attack in Texas on Saturday. James Cho died alongside his parents, Cho Kyu-sung, 37, and Kang Shin-young, 35. According to reports, his 6-year-old brother was injured but survived. The identifications come as officials probe whether the killer had links to any far-right organizations or beliefs. 8 were killed in the shooting, with several victims still in hospital. A verified GoFundMe page says the Cho family were at the Allen Premium Outlets Mall on Saturday to exchange clothing their 6-year-old son had received as a birthday gift a few days before. Korean consulate officials in Texas told the Dallas Morning News paper that Cho family were American citizens of Korean descent and that diplomats are in contact with their family members. Primary school pupils Daniela and Sofia Mendoza, who were sisters, were also killed. Their mother, Ida, remains in hospital in critical condition. Ashwaya Tatikunda, a 27-year-old engineer from India, was also killed during a visit to the mall with a friend, as well as security guard Christian Lacour, who is 20. And yesterday, Texas authorities identified the final victim as a 32-year-old male named Elio Kumana Riva from Dallas, Texas. And let's look at how the weather will fare today. Felicity Hafianyo from GMA joins us on the phone lines. Good morning, Felicity.
Good morning, Maltese.
Great updates always. How is our weather faring like across Ghana today?
Yeah, good morning to our dear viewers and listeners. Today, we are having a partly cloudy sky over southern sector and cloudy over the north currently. We are expected to give way to partly cloudy, making the entire country fairly a bit stable today. However, we are having some isolated cases of rain in those of us in part of eastern region, part of the coastal strip, western north are earmarked for some rain and thunder activities late afternoon into the evening hours. The Volta Lake is pretty cool for fishing activities, though today is Tuesday. But then we are expecting some few areas around the eastern portion to have some rain and thunder. The state of the sea for today is also expected to be calm. We are having just some few rain and thunder clouds, so they still want to do any activities on the ocean. They just have to watch out for those patches of rain and thunder clouds. In terms of temperatures, Greater Accra will have 33 as their maximum temperature this afternoon. If you are coming to Kumasi, 34. If you are coming to Sunyani, 35. If you are going to the north, Tamale Yendi, 37. If you are going to Bolgatanga, Navrongo, Boku, they are likely to record 39 degrees Celsius. So for today, this is how we are expecting it to be. But then, if it's going to be a drastic change in the pattern, we will definitely send a weather warning or alert so that your audience can have and prepare for the future.
Thank you so much, Felicity Hafianyo. I'm sure they will appreciate that. And you can get more updates on GMET's website, social media handles. That's it for GTV Breakfast News. There's more news when you do log on to our website at gbcghanaonline.com. I am Maltiti Sadiq. My costume is by No Rush Collection. You can find it everywhere on social media. A great show we have for you today. Lupus is what we're discussing in health. Up next, Boko Senior High School is in the studio as well, and we'll bring you the headlines and all of the juice on the breakfast show. But I'll be back at 7 with sports, so stay with us.